afternoon, and we got ourselves a pursuit. Breaking news, well, maybe we don't. This is a look in the University Park area, and we got a conclusion here. Is this the driver or is this a passenger that just walked out? So this looks like a passenger that is surrendering. We'll see, will the driver keep going?
Yep.
Yes. Okay, so the pursuit continues. You wonder who that passenger was and were they connected? Was they forced to be in that car? Did they say, get me out of here? This is believed to be a robbery suspect. This is near the campus of USC that we're talking about here. It looks like that's probably the 110 freeway that we're passing over, all those lanes right there, the University Park neighborhood. It would be tough for us to see for a moment as we go underneath the freeway. Okay, now we're out and we're moving into this neighborhood here. Doesn't seem to be moving at too fast of speeds right now, but Christine, we believe this person, whether it's a man or a woman, is wanted for robbery.
So we're not hearing stolen car. Robbery means it involves somebody else. So we're wondering where this happened, how this happened, and if police have much of a lead on the person driving this car. Again, the speeds here, not overly crazy. Stopping again. Is there another passenger in the car? Is this driver going to surrender? Or driver thinking about what to do here. You're about to hit rush hour traffic and very busy streets. Yeah, I should think. So this driver perhaps processing what they're going to do, obviously not pulling over.
Well, as a USC alum, I'm very familiar with this particular area. We're not far from the USC campus right here. We're at 22nd and Hoover Street. As you know, this is a crowded, congested area at this time of afternoon, which would be full of students and businesses and residents and all the rest of it.
The weekend.
Also in this area, there are several homeless encampments as well that are nearby. That could play a role in all of this as well. So we're right by the freeway. Is this person going to get on the freeway? It doesn't look like it's too crowded, but as we know, when you get into downtown LA, it's almost always crowded on the 110 freeway. Yeah. And this is kind of bizarre behavior for this suspect who is just sort of stopping. And then let's see, do we get on the freeway? We do not.
It's almost as if they're processing and thinking about what to do and where to go next. You're right, didn't get on the freeway there. This can be, as Alex said, a very congested area, especially around the freeways. And you think this is a Friday, people are already getting their start on the weekend. But right now, the road feels somewhat open. The driver able to get through traffic in some way here, the right turn lane. I mean, the only way to go here. But we aren't seeing the speeds that we see in a lot of these pursuits, Alex.
No. Based off of the way this person is driving, you wonder if they're under the influence of something, too, because it's just a kind of bizarre way to be driving and not the way that a normal person would be driving and not the way that somebody drives. Okay, somebody else is getting out.
Right.
That's a passenger. So that's passenger number 2 that has now gotten out. That person looked like they were holding a shopping bag. I don't know if they're heading to Pep Boys to do some shopping. I mean, is this a clown car? How many people are going to get out of this thing? And they got out of the passenger side front there, which is the same door that the last person used. So did they move from the back to the front and get out there? That's very strange.
I'd like to know a little bit more about the initial crime as to what happened here, this robbery that police are talking about and not giving much information yet. We have our expert, Tim Lynn, who can perhaps shed some light on what he's seeing here with this pursuit. Tim, we haven't seen crazy high speeds. Looks like the driver trying to make some kind of maneuver there. But the 2 passengers that got out, that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. So they're just casually getting out and giving up, and then the driver just drives away. And I'm sure the following units are picking off those people that get out. But right now, it's strange, because not really trying to race away, just staying in traffic. And the officers are having to react to the driver of the suspect vehicle. So right now, it's just a matter of when they're going to use their spike strips, or are they going to be able to stop traffic and make an approach on it, things of that sort. But the people that got out, I can tell you right now, the officers that have them in custody are trying to get information and get some intel on this driver.
Right, so they presumably have something to say about what's going on in that vehicle. You know, one option would be a pit maneuver to try to end this thing, but right now it is so crowded in this neighborhood that that's pretty unlikely. Driving slow enough where you could do it, but they do not want to tip him into another vehicle that may be approaching and create even more problems. I mean, the fact that this guy is driving pretty slow and like this, I mean, this one is not the most dangerous that we've seen.
No, it isn't. And they could get ahead of it right now with spike strips and get into a position to where they could have a area of concealment and cover, let the civilian traffic get through, and then pull the strips out in front of them and basically carpet the street. So they could easily end it like that. But right now you have a lot of innocent civilians in the way. You have traffic going the opposite direction that they have to deal with. So right now they're just going to sit back and wait and see and hope this person gets out of the car and goes out on foot, and that'll change the dynamic quite a bit. But it's right now just a wait and see and react to what that suspect in the vehicle does.
It looks like very tinted windows, perhaps illegally tinted windows there. So we don't really have a sense of, are there any other passengers in this vehicle? It's not a huge vehicle, so there's not that much room. We know that there were at least 2 other people in it. But we don't know, are there more that could potentially get out? It looks like there's some looky-loos on the side now who are watching this pursuit in real time move slowly down the streets. And as you would expect around this time, 4:13, there are pedestrians that are out on the street too, walking, and they potentially could be at risk, although right now this thing is moving slow enough where it doesn't put a lot of danger to people in the area. So,
and what was said earlier is that, yeah, we need to get more information on what the armed robbery was up in Mission Division that brought them over the hill and down in here to University Park. So they have information that we don't. They probably have information about any weapons used, and they will respond accordingly with that threat. So the last thing you want to do is get into a gunfight in the middle of University Park where you have a lot of people out walking around, a lot of traffic. So you could tell the driver is keeping themselves out by stopping short and kind of holding in an area. But right here would be a great spot for a spike strip coming off the side of that red car. You could roll right out in front of it and then block it that direction. So LAPD, they'll do what they need to do to get this thing stopped.
Tim, you make a good point about the spike strip. When you have a driver going this slowly in an area where you can predict the route just a little bit here, at least a few cars ahead there, maybe they can get that spike strip out there.
Yeah, you could. You use those cars as cover, and the spike strip, you just roll it out as the vehicle approaches. The white SUV that's there, you throw directly behind that and just block the street with a spike strip and nowhere to go except over it. If they try to back up, they have a unit behind. But they have to go by what the information is that the officers have. And like I said, they have a lot more than we do. And maybe that's not an option because maybe a weapon was used, maybe a potential for a weapon being used. They don't want to put an officer in harm's way. So, yeah, there's plenty of opportunity where I've seen them come out and just throw a spike strip under the driver door or under the passenger door between the wheels to where it can't go forward or backwards. So right now it looks like it's got some clear area to run here, and we'll see what happens now.
Do you we've seen at least a couple opportunities for this person to get on the freeway, and they continue to circle in this neighborhood. Does that give you an indication that they may be familiar with this neighborhood? We always go with that. You wonder if they're just looking for a place to go so they get to a safe space, dropping the passengers off, kind of indicate that they're putting them off in an area maybe to where they could go. But with so many officers behind you, dropping people off, you're not going to get very far. Usually you see that when they go into surveillance mode and there's nobody on the ground chasing them. But they do tend to run back to the familiar area. And once they get in and start doing these circles, it's just a matter of time before they just give it up and get out and start running because they've run out of options at this point. But maybe they know the freeways are crowded at this time. They don't want to get out on it. So it's, suspects, they do weird things, and you just have to flex with what the suspects do. And
I'm almost wondering if indeed this person does know the neighborhood. This perhaps might be the neighborhood in which they live or from. Again, we don't know the details of this robbery, but I'm wondering too, the 2 passengers who were stopped, one looked like a female. I didn't get a good look at the other one. Wondering how much intel they're giving police as to what happened and who this driver is and why they're not stopping.
And were they there willingly?
Correct. You always have to take all that into account, and they'll get that information from the scene, the officers who are still at the location where the crime occurred, and get the information out, how many suspects there were, what the description of the suspects were, and then verify the information with the two people they have. So could they be victims or are they suspects? That should be cleared up pretty quickly.
So when Tim talks about surveillance mode, that's when the driver is driving so recklessly that the officers find it to be dangerous for them to be right on their tail, and so they back off. This is kind of the opposite of that right now. Guys driving pretty slow, not doing anything all that dangerous, and so we have seen him really cornered, him or she, we don't know, could be a female driver, cornered. We see officers on the ground, we see officers in the air, we see officers on the other side of the road. There really is not a lot of room for this person to run because they're not driving very effectively if your goal is to lose the officers. And my indication, looking at the way this person is driving, of course, not knowing the facts, but just wondering. I mean, Tim, it seems like there could be a high likelihood this person is under the influence of something.
Well, you never know. And like I said, it's you have to take everything into account. And like I said, the thing about doing this is you have to react to what that driver does and follow their lead, basically. They're pretty much, if you will, in charge of the pursuit at this point because they're the ones determining where it goes. And the officers have to sit back and wait and see what's going to happen. At the same time, they're developing a plan. If more people get out, which unit's going to go after which suspect coming out of the car. But you can see it's just working its way around the same neighborhood and just slowly getting through these intersections. And, obviously just trying to just keep the inevitable. What's going to happen is end up in jail. So it's slow speed. Thank goodness.
Not always, Tim. We do see people get away.
Look, picking up speeds here on a sort of a narrowish street versus a wide street. I'm wondering, too, as we see the speeds pick up here, Tim, if this person is not wanting to endanger the public or endanger other people. We've seen really dangerous pursuits where you could tell a person was so either out of it or didn't care if they killed themselves or somebody else. You're not seeing that kind of danger here.
No, this is nothing like we had in Long Beach last week, where the man in the flatbed truck was just going for broke and running over everybody in front of him. And just by sheer luck, nobody was killed in that one. But luckily, this one is staying at a slow rate of speed, and officers are just staying back and waiting to react to whatever it looks like he's coming up to. Hopefully, thought he was coming up to a dead end here, but making the turn. So it's just a matter of time now, just to stay with it, formulate the plans, and to be ready to go once he comes out of that car and react to what the driver presents, how the driver acts when they come out of the car, and go from there. So it's a wait and see for us all right now.
If you're just joining us, Alex Michelson, Christine Devine, Tim Lynn here with you. We are on at 4 o'clock today because we've got UFL football on tonight at 5 o'clock. So our 4 o'clock newscast has now turned into breaking news coverage of this LAPD pursuit of the robbery suspect. We don't know much about the suspect. We don't know much about the robbery. We do know that at least 2 passengers at different times have gotten out of the front passenger side door and walked out of this vehicle. We do know that this suspect has been circling a similar neighborhood for a while now. We're in the Pico Union neighborhood at 17th Street and Toberman Street. And we do see a long line of LAPD cruisers trying to apprehend this suspect.
Yeah, right now their method is just to follow and wait and see what the driver's doing. There's no real threat to the public at large right now. So, they have to keep in mind, like I said, getting the information from the 2 people that got out, getting information from the scene of how the crime occurred, and then go from there. So the best method right now is what they're doing is just keep an eye on it, keep units close, be plenty of officers there to take as many people that come out and, like I said, react. So, it's a wait and see. Time is on the officer's side. There's no reason to rush this, no reason to push the suspect in this vehicle. And if you start doing that, you may get them going faster. You see a little more speed now as we come out on the larger Venice Boulevard. So back up underneath the freeway. So, right now, you can see the freeway is pretty well packed. So if he gets up there, it's going to be a problem. So just a wait and see for all of us, as I keep saying.
And as we've said, we're not hearing this car is stolen in any way, shape, or form. We're just hearing of a robbery. Wondering if this person has some kind of priors, has been in jail. Well, stopping here in the middle of the road? Of all places to just stop the car? Or again, perhaps process where they're going? We didn't see any kind of spike strip, so we can't
so
say
why
the
not,
car's been
why not
disabled.
try to pin them here? I guess
Well, you have to have movement.
Yeah.
You have to have movement on the car. The car has to be moving for pit maneuver to be successful. And what it's doing, like I said earlier, it's giving itself an out. So it's not getting up on this intersection, which is red for them, kind of holding back. You know, if the officers start coming towards him on foot, he can turn. You go back the opposite direction, waiting for the light to turn, and then turn back to turn to green so he can get through the intersection safely. So they'll do things of that sort. But right now, all these cars or the cross traffic is stopped because all these units probably have their sirens on, so it's probably quite loud right there. So, you know, suspects do weird stuff in pursuit. You just have to sit back and go with what they do and expect everything at the end, and you know, and let nothing surprise you, because every pursuit is different, every suspect is different, and you just have to be able to react when they get out. See, now he just went through on the green. So, like I said, holding back from traffic, giving himself an out, or giving themselves an out, and you know, working their way through the Dennis area of downtown here, just south of downtown, right out through Flower.
Well, again, if this person perhaps has some kind of record, has been to jail or prison before, they may be just delaying the inevitable here with something like this. Obviously, not trying to kill anybody or, you know, endanger the public. It is bizarre behavior as to why they stop in the middle of the road, but perhaps, like you said, they're just kind of gauging the intersection there and watching traffic, as it is a busy hour of the night, the evening, the day, the afternoon for traffic. And downtown area can be hard to navigate. There's some roads that are one way, and there's lots of traffic, lots of homeless people, lots of pedestrians during this rush hour time of a Friday.
Not a lot of parking, not wide streets, lots of also lots of tall buildings that make it hard for our photographers to navigate from the chopper, and make it hard for the police helicopters to navigate from the chopper. I mean, when we see that, Tim, when people do get away, often it is when they move to tracking mode and they move into downtown LA, and the tall buildings make it hard to follow. But this person is driving slow enough now where that does not seem to be an issue. They're right there with him or her.
Yeah, I can tell you from personal experience, it's very difficult to run pursuits through downtown or any area that has large buildings or trees, because they can get up underneath or behind one of the obstructions and get out on foot. And if you don't have a quick eye on them to be able to pick off a description, it's sometimes really hard to figure out who was in the car unless you have a police car right behind them. And so right now, yeah, they do get away when they get into downtown if they're on a surveillance mode, because the tactical flight officer can only do so much, and you need that ground support down below to put boots on the ground, get in behind them, and get an idea of what they look like when they get out of the car, because there's a good chance right now the tactical flight officer and those 4 officers that are behind them have no idea what that driver looks like because of those tinted windows. So you know, you say, yeah, they get away, but it's just a matter of, you know, how it happens at the end, whether there's officers close. In a situation like this, unless he starts driving super crazy and then the watch commander tells him to back off and go to surveillance mode and let the air unit handle it, you know, then that's when you get into that hazard of getting into a parking structure, getting behind buildings and things of that sort. But in the police helicopter, they're down a lot lower. They're making real tight orbits over the top, so they don't lose visual too much as the news media, because they fly much higher and stay pretty much in one spot. Like right here, where he gets behind the building, you're holding right there because you have other media helicopters with you at that altitude, so you really can't fly too much too fast because everybody's trying to get the same shot. You just wait for him to come out, and the police helicopter will be down lower, making tighter orbits around, just sticking with it. So it's a lot of work for these camera operators and the media helicopters to stick with him, and it takes a lot of skill to keep it going. But right here, we're doing it again where he's holding back because traffic's probably backed up underneath the bridge here at the 110. And he's going to keep himself from getting boxed in by.
We're now at the 10
traffic.
Freeway, Tim. So we've moved. We're now at the
I-10.
I-10, yeah. As we're near Broadway and 18th Street in the Central City part. So continuing to drive, and There aren't a lot of places, Christine, at this time that aren't going to be congested in that area. There's not a lot of like wide open spaces to move.
You know, I'm kind of fascinated watching the other motorists and pedestrians on the street. You saw one person just walk across the crosswalk right in front of this vehicle, seeing all the police cars there behind him. So, Tim, you're saying they are there with their sirens on, so it is loud there, cars, pedestrians, they're all hearing this?
I'm sure they are.
Yep.
There's no reason to turn their siren off and at this point, because you want people to know you're coming at this point and hopefully get them to move out of the way or get the suspect to just go ahead and give up, because he has so much behind him. And it's a psychological thing too. If you turn it off, it's silent, and there's no pressure, from behind. And so it also, like intersections like this, you want people to know you're coming and that he may not stop. But this driver has been stopping every red light that he's come to and actually holding back and giving himself space. So, but this could all change in a heartbeat, and he'd pick up speed and start, hitting the wrong side of the road, going through red lights and things of that sort. So it's luckily right now we're just going to cruise along with traffic and try to time the signals, it looks like, what the driver's doing, and work its way out of downtown.
Right, which is an area that is especially heavily congested at this time. But that, of course, assumes that this driver has a master plan, which they may or may not have at this point. We don't know. We also don't know if this is their first time being involved in a pursuit or if they've been involved with law enforcement in the past. But we are now on Broadway, and West 25th is the area that we're near, where there's a whole lot of traffic going this way, which now includes plenty of LAPD black and whites on this Friday afternoon. And the other thing, Tim, that the officers there, you talk about their sirens, they also have the ability to shout commands pretty loudly using their speaker system when the driver stops as well.
That's correct. Yeah, they have that type of system on the police car that they can give encouragement to the driver to stop, to pull over, to give up. I've even done that on the PA system from the helicopter, telling people, you keep on running, but we're still going to find you, so stop running. And it's just simple, just talking normal to them to get them just to finally give up the chase here. But the problem here now is the further south they go, they're going to start getting into the LAX restricted area, and the media ships are going to have to back off a little bit as this continues south on Broadway, and then the LAPD ship can stick with it.
So you were flying above a pursuit, working for law enforcement, and then from the helicopter you're shouting commands down to the ground?
Happens all the time. Yeah, you get down into especially on a foot pursuit, guys going over fences and over, running through yards, and you can come on and just say, you're not going to get away. Just go ahead and stop running. Just right now, stop running and walk out to the street and give yourself up. And things of that sort, because it's very clear and very loud.
It is,
especially. But in a car you wouldn't do it because they probably couldn't hear you very well. But especially when a suspect's running really hard in a neighborhood, I would do that just to basically say, give it up. You're not going to get away from me. And you have a helicopter 300-400 feet above you making tight orbits and a lot of noise, and somebody talking to you, that usually gives them a chance. Just they're not going to outrun you, so they give up. So different little things you can do, and it works, and sometimes other times it don't. And if we keep talking about here, is this guy what we used to call a frequent flyer? Have we dealt with him before? Has he dealt with law enforcement before? And if they've got a lot of experience, they're just going to keep going as long as they can, and hopefully get away, they think. But at this point, the way this is driving, this is just going to be a long playing follow around the neighborhood and down the street. So
about those commands from the helicopter, I remember there was a home invasion in my neighborhood, and I heard the helicopter yell down, "We're sending in the dogs."
Wow.
And it's loud, you're right, and it is alarming, you're right.
All right, so at 4:30 now, we are following breaking news. This is a very LA broadcast. We've got a pursuit going. We also have breaking news in the Menendez trial. So Christina Gonzalez was telling about this at the top of the hour. A judge has just ruled that the resentencing hearing can go forward for the Menendez trial, which it would happen next week, April 17th. We had an emotional day in court today. Prosecutors laying out not only their case from today, but their case from 30 years ago. The family was there. Mark Garrigus was there. Cooper Koch, who played Eric in the movie, was there with the family. So we're awaiting a press conference. I assume that Mark Garrigus is just going to go off when he steps out there, and we will go to that and take that live when it happens.
Yeah, so as we're watching this outside the courtroom here, we do know family has been inside. They have been very vocal about this. One relative has really been stepping up forward, doing the news conferences and the interviews. But the deputy DA spoke for 2 hours, a presentation, saying he didn't think that the Menendez brothers have changed, claiming they haven't changed. We know the DA, current DA, Nathan Hochman, has been against the idea of resentencing and the Menendez brothers getting out, compared to the former DA, George Gascon, who just before he was leaving office held this big news conference and said, I am for the Menendez brothers being released.
Right, and that was the motion. So Gascon put forward a motion that there should be a resentencing hearing. That's what today was about. And the judge, for now, at least, siding with Gascon, at least siding to have a hearing about that motion, and then he'll hear more arguments. As we've pointed out, and as certainly the folks at TMZ have pointed out repeatedly, a lot of this doesn't really matter because Governor Newsom has said that this is going to the parole board, and he's going to make a decision based off of what happens there in June. And Governor Newsom has the power right now, if he wanted to. He's going to wait till the parole board, but he could give them clemency. He could give them,
usually
give them out.
They commute the sentence.
Commute the sentence, right? Which is the most likely thing. So we see the Van Nuys courthouse when that happens, when Mark Garrigus or the prosecutors, if Nathan Hochman was out there earlier, if any of them step to the microphone, we will bring you back live to Van Nuys. In the meantime, because this is Los Angeles and we have both of these stories going at the same time, let's continue to follow this slow speed pursuit. It reminds us in some ways of the Menendez case, came right around the same time as O.J. Simpson, which of course was a slow speed pursuit, and started a lot of this whole coverage for us, 35 years ago. And now we're watching this slow speed pursuit.
And as we watch this one here, Broadway, Southeast Los Angeles, it has been like this the whole time. In case you're just joining us, it has been a slow speed chase the whole time. We're looking at a suspect wanted for robbery who earlier had not one but two passengers in the vehicle, got out of the vehicle individually at different times. At times you would think the suspect might be slowing down, might be considering giving up, but no, the car just keeps on going like this. You have to wonder how long the suspect's going to drive around this area,
right,
when they're going to give up. And else we all have cell phones. Who's this person talking to on the cell phone? And with these passengers that LAPD now I'm sure is talking to, what information
and what's up with the decision for these passengers to just casually get out of the car? I mean, that was really weird. And the way they go, including one of them with like a plastic bag. So you wonder what kind of intel they're getting from those people. So we're going to continue to follow this. If we hear from Christina Gonzalez, our reporter in Van Nuys, we will try to go back to her. And again, awaiting to hear if the prosecutors or the defense are going to be speaking in the Menendez cases. In the meantime, we still have Tim Lynn. You're welcome to weigh in on the Menendez case if you want. No, I'm kidding.
I'm not touching that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty hot potato there. This one not quite as hot, and not the hottest in terms of pursuits that we've seen. We're now at Broadway and 52nd Place. And so for law enforcement, I mean, is the strategy there, because this person really isn't endangering that many people at this point, just wait them out? I mean, they don't really have to worry about doing things on the schedule of the newscasts. They just can they've got as much overtime as they need, as many cars as they need, and just wait this person out.
Yeah, time is on their side. There's no reason to rush this through because, like I said, it is driving at a slow rate of speed. Obviously following the rules of the road, stopping for red lights, holding back from those red lights to give themselves a clear path out. So there's no real reason to pressure this driver, other than the sirens and maybe the PA just to give encouragement, like, if you can't get away, we're all here. We're not going to go away. And yeah, there's no reason to make anything go out of hand real quickly, because it could very easily get really bad. And like I said, Mission Division is handling this. They're getting information from the scene on who the suspects are, who the suspects were. You have the 2 people that got out. They were probably detained very quickly. Intel is being pulled from them if they do give it up, and to find out exactly what's going on here. I've had pursuits where people were unwilling participants in the passenger seat, and they just want to get out.
Yeah.
And so you keep that in mind. You may have had that in this case, to where these 2 people had no idea what the driver was going to do, and next thing you know, driver comes running out of whatever establishment, jumps in a car and takes off, and all of a sudden the police are behind them, and you know, you don't want to be part of that. So right here, though, you can see Broadway is packed this time, and I go south, and you see the shot now. It's very long, so our media helicopter has to hold way back near the 110 the 10 freeway. This Broadway is just to the east of the 110, so they're not allowed to go into that area while a police pursuit is in progress. So hopefully they'll make a turn left or right and get onto a surface street. It's an agreement that the LAPD, LAX Tower, and the media have signed on to keep the congestion down, because once you get into that area, you have to be at or below 900 feet, and it gets pretty crowded with the helicopters and the media helicopters all being in the same spot.
So this is an LAX flight path kind of thing here.